Coming up, Star Wars Celebration 2017 just happened. We went to it, and we're going to talk about it and let you know what we thought about it in this episode of DIS Pop. DIS Pop is brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel, experts at helping you plan the perfect vacation. Visit them on the web at dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. Hello, everybody. I am your host, Ryno Craig, and in this episode of DIS Pop, I'm going to be joined by my Wookiee Cookie, Craig Williams. I called you Wookiee Cookie. I couldn't think of anything a better nickname there for you. Sorry. So Star Wars Celebration, it just happened over this past weekend here in Orlando. Exciting stuff. And we want to talk to you about it. I figured what we could do is just kind of go through each day about how it all went, what we thought of the event overall, and whether this is something you should plot out in the future to maybe go to or not.
And honestly, I think we might even be smarter to start by taking a step back and saying that when we went into this weekend, we did absolutely zero planning, zero preparation at all.
I mean, I didn't even look at the schedule till like Thursday.
I can tell you I looked at the schedule not for the first time. I looked at the schedule, I think, about 2 weeks ahead of the event, and it just really didn't dawn on me that this is a convention, something to like really start like planning out for. I just don't know why. And then on Thursday night, I guess it would have been Wednesday night, the night before the event was supposed to start. That's when I actually sat there at 8 o'clock, right before I was about to start my screening for Fate of the Furious. I'm like, okay, people are already allowed to start going in and waiting in line for the first panel tomorrow.
Yeah, you called me, and I was like, you were like, there's people in line.
Yeah,
and I'm like, nah.
And I'm like, okay, well, should I just leave the movie and go get in line? What should I do? That's when I realized, it dawned on me, like, I need to start right now and get an idea of actually what I wanted to do that weekend, what needed to be accomplished, because I didn't. So I think the first thing to say is, we didn't have any plan for it, so it absolutely did skew our opinions on a lot of this, and that's our fault for it.
You know, here's the thing. I think before you go to a convention, you have to ask yourself, there's two types of people. Are you an expo floor type of person, or are you a panel type of person? Because honestly, you're not. You can do a little bit of both, but you have to decide which one's more and which one are you more invested in.
Yeah.
You know?
No, you can't accomplish everything.
Yeah.
You want to do everything. You just can't. You really have to decide, am I going to spend all my time waiting in lines to see these panels, or am I going to spend all my time waiting in line to try to get exclusive merch and other experiences in the Expo Center?
The reason why I want to say all this stuff about the convention and waiting and everything is because we have a pretty big convention coming up here in Orlando at the end of May that is actually coinciding with the beginning of our 20th anniversary DIS event. The first part of that weekend over Memorial Day weekend. I think that's Memorial Day weekend, right?
No.
Or is that Memorial Day the week before? I will actually, let me just look up the date really quick to tell you specifically what it is. It is May 20...
Are we talking about MegaCon, the dates for that?
We are talking about MegaCon.
The dates for that are May 25th through the 28th.
Yes, so that's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. If you are coming into town for our DIS 20th anniversary event, it might be something worth checking out. You know, you could come and say hello to Craig and myself. That'll probably be there to cover that as well. But MegaCon's a little different, as in the normal conventions, they're very it's a variety. It's kind of all over the place. So ours has a big Rocky Horror presence this year, along with there's a bunch of guests from like Doctor Who, from Legends of Tomorrow, all over the place, kind of. So I don't think it'll be quite a camp out event necessarily. However, there is going to be a big Rocky Horror panel, I'm sure, and that's going to draw a lot of attention, and you need to know, like, do I get there early? What am I going to do? And, you know, unfortunately, you end up waiting a big amount of time, but you have to just be, like, mentally prepared for that.
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll go over the Star Wars stuff.
Yeah, let's start with what is Star Wars Celebration for people out there who just don't know.
Well, what is it?
Well, what is it? It is the official
premiere.
It's the premiere, the official Star Wars convention, expo, whatever you want to call it, featuring panels made up of celebrity guests from the Star Wars universe, people who worked on the films, people, in this case, who are now working on the Star Wars land that is coming through there, people who wrote books, just anyone involved in the Star Wars
music,
universe.
voice actors, all this stuff, production designers, whatever.
And that's just for the panels. Then you have the expo, as we've already alluded to, which is just this mixture between people who are who make licensed Star Wars products. So
there's that. There's the official stuff, like Hasbro was there, Funko Pop was there, Lego. They had the airline that built the R2D2 and BB-8 airliners. Disney had a booth there.
Yep.
And then you've got some other people that have the kind of offshoot. You were saying, I think it was all officially licensed stuff there.
Everything
since it was official, since it's an officially sponsored event. But then you have your autographs and photo area, so you potentially could get an autograph or photo with like Mark Hamill, Forrest Whitaker, Felicity Jones, all these people. Yeah,
official merchandise in their official store. Then a ton of extra stores that were also there. People selling memorabilia, just literally. If you ever thought like, hey, I want to try to track down this Star Wars item that I'm not having a lot of luck trying to find, this is the exact place where you go to find it. You might pay a pretty penny, but you will find it. There was even something that caught me off guard. I'm not sure if it's at most conventions, besides just Celebration, but the tattoo section.
I don't know if tattoos is a thing that's at all conventions, but it is. You will see it at MegaCon. It's gonna have a tattoo alley, and it's gonna have like 15 different tattoo artists there, and people go and get their tattoos there. It was like at Star Wars Celebration. It was like they all had very specific Star Wars photos up there of themselves, the artists. So I don't know.
Yeah, I
don't get it.
A lot of these ones here were official Lucasfilm licensed tattoo artists, and that's why they were able to do the designs. I mean, clearly they had to be. That's why they were allowed to come in and do it. And everyone had such a different style. I mean, they could all do the standard stock tattoos in there, but they all had just an incredible style. It was so cool to watch. People were constantly getting tattooed this entire event. I'm pretty sure free spots being open were few and far between. And I'm sure they do have tattoos at Comic-Con, New York Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con, all the big ones. I think it goes along with it. Because the one thing that you don't really expect is that once you're there and you're in that atmosphere, you've got that fan passion.
Yeah, you're jazzed up.
You're jazzed up. It's driving. I almost got a tattoo.
Because that's the thing. You're there. These are some of the better tattoo artists, and you're like, okay, well now I have a specific place, an unforgettable place that I've gotten it too. You can be like, I got this at Star Wars Celebration. I got the Star Wars 40.
Yeah,
I did not get that. I'm not saying I got it.
Yeah, I found one that I was going to get. The artist, I loved it. I loved the style and the design. And then when I asked about the price, it was ridiculous for probably do $50 even exist anymore? The $50 coins.
Yeah.
So for like a $50 coin size tattoo, they were charging $150 for it.
Well, what was the design?
Just of the Rebel Alliance.
I think that's how much they are. That's the thing.
No.
No, you've seen it for less? No. I mean, I know that's a simple... No. My friend's got the Rebel Alliance on his right here. Yeah. It looks cool. It's a cool tattoo.
No. I mean, yes, maybe with these license, they charge that much. They also know people are going to do it. Yeah. But you can find tattoo parlors that are good, reputable.
Well, see, and yours, that doesn't require a lot of work either.
Exactly.
That's literally a line. Was it filled in you wanted it, or was it just literally an outline?
No, I was going to have it filled in too, but and I know, I asked plenty of people that, I don't have a tattoo yet, but I asked plenty of people who do what the price was, and I've priced stuff out before when I thought I was going to get some, and everyone agreed that it was going to be a ripoff for the price.
So, I tell you what. So when we go to MegaCon and cover that, if we can find a tattoo artist that I like, I have a tattoo that I know I'm definitely getting. I could carry with me, and I'll get one there. If we can find somebody it's reasonably priced, and we can make a fun video out of it.
We'll get a tattoo of the band Tattoo.
I didn't know there was a band. Oh,
all the things you said.
Get us. Oh, I went with the second single.
There you
that was
go.
terrible.
Okay.
I know too much tattoo. Okay. But anyway, yeah. So it's something about in the moment, whatever. Yeah. But anyway.
So I think we did a good job there explaining of what Star Wars Celebration is.
So let's talk about our journey with Star Wars Celebration, and it starts with you.
Yes, it does start with me. As I referenced as we kick this off, once I found out that the queuing process began at 8 o'clock the night before the first full day, I had to make that decision because the reason people were queuing is basically the first 2 days there was a big panel that required having these sleepover nights. So sleepover nights are where they opened up the convention center queue hall from 8 o'clock p.m. until 12 o'clock a.m. And during that time, anyone could come in that they wanted to, and you would start to get in line for the big panel that was happening the next day. So Wednesday night, people were waiting for the 40 Years of Star Wars panel that was happening at 11 a.m. on Thursday. And on Thursday night, people started waiting for the next day's, Friday's 11 a.m. panel that was for The Last Jedi. And so I made the decision. 40 Years of Star Wars was something I really wanted to see. The rumors were swirling that George Lucas might show up. You knew all the celebrities that were coming to the event were probably going to be here for this one. And so I decided to give it a shot. And I should have realized that things weren't going to go so well when at 4:30, that's when people started tweeting that they were starting the line.
That's just insane to me.
Yeah, even though it didn't open up until 8 p.m. for it. So, long story short, because I was at Fate of the Furious, I did not get a chance to get in line until like 5 minutes before midnight. At that point, they said that they were counting as people came into line and that it was full to be in the main stage. But there was also conflicting reports with other people saying, well, there's still a chance that you'll be able to make it in. So you're definitely in a streaming room, because they had 2 other rooms that were going to be doing a live stream of the panel, and you still got the prize that they gave away for it.
And I should say this too. I was surprised at the number of these panels that were live streamed over the weekend. That's a new thing. Newer thing that these bigger conventions are starting to do. Usually they have somebody cover it in a different area, but like yesterday, I saw Warwick Davis with the Mark Hamill panel on Twitter or something like that.
No, this started a little bit with the last celebration, I believe. Not last year's, but the one before, the one in Anaheim. The big thing was they were live streaming the very first panel with The Force Awakens. And basically almost everything that was like big and massive for this event was live streamed. And so you could watch it right at home. And which is great for people who don't have the opportunity to attend, can't afford it. Maybe the ones who really only care about the panels, not the expo experience, and a way that they know they'll get to see everything without saying they had to be right there. But yeah, so I was guaranteed into an overflow room. I spent not as long as a lot of people did. I mean, luckily, I only spent 11 hours that night sleeping on concrete, trying to sleep, because you couldn't, between the noise. And I mean this with the most love. A bunch of nerds with lightsabers battling each other for hours.
It happened the next night, too. It was terrible.
Yeah, and so it ended up being...
But you got a DJ your night, so...
Yeah, and they did not repeat that the next night because of complaints.
Bringing out a DJ at midnight is just foolish to me. Pump it up the party. They're finally settling down. Let's get their energy going again.
I mean, at the end of the day, I had to try, because this was the go-to event for Thursday, and it ended up being really amazing. I was super jealous I didn't get in, because George Lucas did show up, along with Hayden Christensen, Ian McDiarmid.
Your favorite actor from the Star Wars movies, actually, yeah.
Yeah, sure. And then, of course, Peter Mayhew, Billy D. Williams, Anthony Daniels, Warwick David Davis, sorry, hosted the event. Mark Hamill was there, and then of course the surprise was Harrison Ford.
All in one place, you know.
Yeah, and during that panel, Billie Lourd did a tribute to her mother, which was absolutely moving. The video of that is out there now too for anyone to see. And then after she was done with her tribute, then the curtains rise up and you find out that John Williams is there playing with the
That's cool.
Orlando Philharmonic Symphony, and they started with Princess Leia's theme, which was very fitting, and then it moved right into
Bum, 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 bum.
yeah, no, then they did not go to the cantina. Then they moved into the main title from Star Wars and ended that show with the Imperial March. But everyone who left got a Princess Leia tribute poster.
Yeah, it was a beautiful poster.
Yeah, it was amazing. So I'm glad that even though I wasn't in the main one, I still got
and it was
a
a limited
piece of
poster
it.
because it said it was limited to 8,000.
Yeah.
So,
So,
okay. So Craig makes a pretty big point though. Kind of if there's any way that you could like do any research on the convention hall that you're going to, because where we went to D23 in 2015, where they had their main hall held probably 4 times the size of what was in ours. When we did the Last Jedi panel, it was not even the size of the middle section of the D23 hall. And I was kind of surprised by this because I thought this is the big thing. And so where we thought, I mean, I guess I'll get to that when we get to that point.
The numbers were all conflicting. Some people were saying that the main stage, the Galaxy stage, they said it herded. They said it held 3,100 seats in there, and 400 were always being
I don't even
saved
think
for
there were that
VIP
many.
press and that. Yeah, it didn't even feel like that for me. But then the smaller one, the celebration stage, was around 2,500, and the behind-the-scenes stage was even smaller than that. But that was basically all the way down at the end of a hall. They just placed a screen in there and some chairs. So, yeah, definitely finding out how much it can hold, and just asking staff all the time, like, what's the chance? They were also doing standby lines right outside of the theaters. So when they needed to fill last-second seats, because they had room left over, you could still get in that way. I wish I would have known. I probably would have skipped the live stream and waited to stand there to see if I could get in at the last second, especially being by myself that day. So
you tried to lure me in. I was working on my cosplay for MegaCon that night, so I was already involved in something. Yeah, so I couldn't wrap my brain around it.
But yeah, that was the main panel that day. It was pretty awesome. I just want to mention some of the other things that were going on that day in terms of panels, just so you get an idea of what happens. Because to me, the panels were the big reason why I wanted to do the event, to see these things. It's my favorite part of D23 as well when I've done them, but. I also very much enjoyed the expo once I really got to explore it. But other big panels they had during the day was Smooth Talkin' with Billy D. Williams, Dave Filoni, Animated Origins and Unexpected Fates. That was Dave Filoni is one of the
Rebels or something.
He was working on Clone Wars and moved to Rebels, and
I think he's rumored to direct one of the spin-off movies right now too.
He has just grown incredibly through the Star Wars legacy right now. He is a huge in the stories. So a lot of people were very excited for that one. And then, sorry, I do apologize. I did not have this written down. The Ian McDiarmid panel was also held that day for people who wanted to see that. The Music of Rogue One analysis with David Collins was another very popular one. Just all over the place. Ray Park did one that day. Disney Parks and Star Wars merchandise happened that day, where they announced a bunch of new Her Universe items, as well as things that you'll start to see Star Wars related.
Yeah, that's where they made the
parks.
announcement. So this is a weird off tangent, but I have 2 really good friends. One was my first roommate when I moved to Florida, Jillian Hopke, and you've seen her on the show before because she's done like the Marvel crafting with me. She's my Marvel go-to person, super nerd like me, but she also is a Cupcake Wars winner, and she's got a store in Winter Park, and she So before Jilly Cakes was its own store, like years back, she started making these cupcakes for like cast member friends and stuff like that. So Ashley Eckstein came, who was the founder of her universe, came and to Star Wars weekends, and she wanted cupcakes, and they had seen that Jill does the Star Wars cupcakes, so she had her make like the Salacious Crumb cupcake, and then here we are years later, like Ashley kept in contact with Jill, and so Jill was actually the official, like the cupcake of the celebration, which you tried multiple ones of them.
Oh yeah,
yeah, they're delicious. But so I got to meet Ashley while we were there because her universe is right there. Just a brief like, hey, how are you?
Yeah.
But still, she was a very nice lady. But I also have another friend, Lindsay Taylor, and she and I worked together at Disney. And then she's got a sister, Ashley, who I knew did graphic design and all this stuff. Well, Ashley Taylor's also the one who makes all of the. She's moved to California in the last year or two, and she's the one who makes all of those Disney Parks blog releases these art every other day, every day, whatever, a week. That's her sister who's been doing it. Oh. And so I didn't know that she now had this thing going on with Ashley Eckstein too, because she keeps telling me like, oh, interview Ashley. I'm like, yeah. Because I only met Ashley a handful of times, but now I'm like, I saw the announcement and I was like, man, I should have interviewed Ashley back in the day. So Lindsay's been like yelling at me, but it's just funny that you have these people from these realms that kind of all come together and, it just shows you if you're passionate about what you like and you find an enjoyment and find a way where your talent can bring you to it, you can be successful.
Okay, so should we talk about our Thursday night?
Yeah, so I told Craig I would go Thursday night, wait in line with him. I did end up going at like 5 in the morning, and I had to wait in like a 2-mile line to get around the building.
Sorry, I apologize.
Because I went into the expo center, so I was like, okay, well, you go in here, I'll go into the expo and just see what's going on, whatever. Yeah. And I walked around in there, and that's where you had left for the day, and then George Lucas and Harrison Ford came out on the live stage, and that's what they were like, oh, Harrison, do you look forward to watching a Han Solo movie as a fan? He was like, no, not at all. So I was like,
that's hilarious.
He's just cranky old man.
But I should say,
he laughed about it too.
if you're not going to the panels, if that's something, if you were going to spend more time in the expo floor, that Star Wars live stage.
Hayden
where
Christensen
they did the live
came
show.
out. Yeah.
Well, Felicity Jones and Forrest Whitaker, they both came out on that stage.
Yeah.
They were there doing photo ops and autographs. They didn't do any of the panels, as far as I know. But they came out on that stage.
And it was an area where you could just wander up to, go walk around it, because it was built to be this little media stage, and they wouldn't make an announcement really. They'd just come out, and all of a sudden people started like running to that area, and you're like, what is everybody running over there for? And
there was people camped there all day. So if you didn't want to wait for the panels, you didn't want to pay the money for the autographs and other stuff, you still had a chance to see these celebrities on this stage, which was cool.
Yeah, so that was fun. So I walked around, I did the expo, and then I filmed a little bit, went to see Jill, and then I went home and to change, and I grabbed my portable little chair, my neck pillow, a blanket, and the cameras, threw it all in my backpack, and met you back at the line that you were in that was also like a mile long around the building.
I was so afraid that we already missed it.
Yeah, I mean, and I got to you by like 7:30, 7:45, and it was, all said and done, when we finally got into the panel the next day, we were some of the last few people in that panel. But I do want to give a shout out at this point in the show. I don't know if they watched this show specifically, but there was a family that was right in front of us when we went through this all, who we camped out with, who were fans of the show. And that was Tony, Kim, Joy, AJ, Jaden.
Yep.
That's all of them. They made the night for us. I think it was great company. They were unobtrusive, but it was fun. Like, we laughed with them. We were with them right up until we went into the panel room. And then there were other listeners who were from California when who I also want to give a shout out to, and that's Jim and Tad, who kept me company in line because something else special happened while you and I were camping out for the Last Jedi panel.
Yeah, so a lot of times during celebration, something big happens like that on the night before the movie panel. 2 years ago, it was that J.J. Abrams came out and brought everyone pizza, and they all got that. Well, we also got the experience, and that was that Rian Johnson, the director of Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi, just randomly walks into the queue hall with his with a megaphone and with the promise that he wanted to come around and meet everyone who wanted to meet him that was in that queue hall, which was, I would say, it was easily a good 3,000 to 4,000 people in there.
Oh yeah, because we were probably
least.
right in the middle, and we were like 1,500, closer to 2,000, like in there. And like I said, there was still a whole other side of it. I think what worked with him a little bit is he's not quite as high. I don't want to say as high profile, but his body of work thus far is kind of a niche, like a little bit of a, like Looper, fantastic movie.
Agree. Brick, bless you.
Good Lord, that's gonna be terrible for people listening.
Yeah, his other outing with JGL, Brick.
Yeah, a big fan of Brick.
Yeah.
In fact, I've tried to replicate many a shot from Brick. There's a lot of creative filmmaking that he does, and that he reverses some shots and everything. But so I knew who he was, and I was like, oh, this is great, because you think about it, you oftentimes meet like production designer, maybe somebody that worked in something, wand dueler that never gives up on wand dueling. You never meet the directors. They never go to these things. They're a rarity. You know, if they are there, they're never a picture, meet and greet, autograph picture, you know, all that stuff. Yeah. So he came out, he signed stuff, like he signed my badge, and I got to take a picture with him, and he was very personable. And I was like, what?
He was already out for like 3 hours.
Yeah, because he didn't get to me till like 2 in the morning.
Yeah,
you were passed out face down on the concrete floor when I came back. Because you had seen him first. You went up and you'd gotten the autograph, and I was like, well, I'll go up too. And that was when he was like started doing the pictures and everything. And I went to go back to tell you, you were just like, you looked like somebody had killed you.
Well, that was the problem. I mean, I was still so tired from the night before. When he was there for about a half an hour and he was signing everything, I got up and I just took a walk. I had no, I didn't plan on going over there, but as I was walking, he was starting to get close to where it was going to be like an opening where more people could see him. This one girl comes out of nowhere, and she's just like, if we all form a human tunnel in single files on each side, he will come and see all of us. There's a better chance of that. And the guy who was his handler is like, you're absolutely right. He will. And so everyone just kind of fell in line. And so then I only had to wait there probably 15 minutes until he made his way to me.
Yeah.
By that point, though, you know, he was already there for close to an hour, and you could tell he was starting to get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So some people were taking selfies. Probably would have been the smarter choice for me, because literally, like,
you have a squiggle.
I have squiggly lines that I know is his, and a lot of people, I would say the majority of people there have the exact same squiggly lines. So it's not like it's that, because anyone who wanted to sign, he was literally doing the same thing. By the time he got to you, it was basically at the end. He was almost finished. Yeah. So he is actually taking a little bit more time. But
we have a fun interaction, because when I went to put my arm around him, he like hit me and in the side, and I was like, hey, and he went to go like do the fighting thing, and I was like, you all saw it. He struck me.
Yeah.
So it was he was a good guy. I tried to make it very brief. I just was like, hey, I'm a big fan of your work. Look forward to what you're going to bring to the movie.
Oh yeah, so. And you know what? Me being happy about it, then falling asleep, and you being happy about it and falling asleep, that helped propel us into the actual event.
Yeah, that really made honestly, it didn't feel like we were waiting as long as we did. It kind of made this multiple experiences.
It was very euphoric.
So needless to say, we made it into the Last Jedi panel.
Yes,
very exciting. So we didn't know it was hosted by Josh Gad.
Yeah, that was a surprise.
Yeah, he comes out, and then obviously the people who come out are surprised. So we've got Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, BB-8 makes an appearance, and then
Kelly Marie Tran,
who's a new character in this movie. Named Rose, and then Rian Johnson's there, and one other person, Mark Hamill, comes out.
Yes.
Who's that other guy?
Were you setting it up like that, or did you just forget?
I actually forgot that it was Mark Hamill. But Mark Hamill is like, he's got a lot of stories to tell. He likes talking to people. You can tell. So they came out, and then they debuted a poster that they gave us all, which is just a beautiful. If you haven't seen it yet, it's wonderful. It's just that all red with Rey with the lightsaber, and one side's Luke, one side's Kylo Ren. It's beautiful.
It's brilliant.
Craig's already got his framed. He went out right away. And so they gave us that, and then they played the teaser.
Yeah.
Played it twice in a row, thank God, because people wouldn't shut up the first time.
Yeah, and it's just the experience of being in that room, being the first.
Yeah, there's an energy that you can't describe. I mean, my first experience with that type of energy was at D23 with you when when it was The Force Awakens, when it was like Harrison Ford came out and stuff. And this, like, though, when you know the trailer's coming and just like being there with people that are probably like, it's life changing for them. You know, Star Wars probably had a massive influence on their life, and so it's just you know,
it's just thinking that trailer was only going to debut once, and only so many people were going to be in that room to see it for the very first time, and that was on us. And we already put out a vlog with our full thoughts on that panel and just the overall experience. So we won't go on about that right now because that information's already out there. So I urge you to go watch that. And so now I will do my recap of the other things that happened during the day, which were all pretty big. And the big main event that night, besides the Last Jedi panel, was the night that Mark Hamill also did his tribute to Carrie Fisher. And I was so heartbroken I didn't get to be in that theater, but literally by the time we had gotten our wristbands to get into the Last Jedi panel, I think they were close to already selling out this tribute. There was that many people waiting for this. Some people didn't even want to get into the Last Jedi panel. They just wanted to wait overnight in this one to be part of the tribute. So it was very big. Warwick Davis did his one-man show that day. They did the making of Rogue One, which I'm sure would have also been very awesome. But and then they did the Heroines of Star Wars, and that was Ashley Eckstein. And
did Sarah Michelle Gellar come out for that one?
No, she didn't.
Well, she's not a heroine in the. Anyway, I think she's the bad guy. But
Daisy Ridley also came out for this one too. So I'm pretty sure Daisy Ridley was only in town for that one day. So she knocked out both of these panels and then took off. But yeah, just a huge day of panels. And then after that, everything was kind of just not slow, but it was very much more relaxing after those first 2 days getting through there. So what about your Saturday?
Well, I had some friends who big Buffy fans, and this was Sarah Michelle Gellar's first ever Comic-Con or convention appearance, and so they had to go get a picture with Sarah. And another friend who's obsessed with photos and autographs, so he ponied up the money for that. So it was a lot busier on Saturday than I expected. I know conventions generally Saturday is the busy day, but I thought maybe because there wasn't any major panels on Saturday that it wouldn't have that same kind of overflowing feeling. But I guess technically some of those panels are big. I guess that's the difference between me being just like a fan and being like an uber fan.
Well, I can tell you the big panels that day, the two that had sold out,
there was no overnighting that day too, because there was Galactic. I think they wanted to make sure that was specifically known because there was the Galactic Night celebration at Hollywood Studios.
Exactly. And so I can tell you the two big panels on Saturday, I wanted to get into one of them, and that was the premiere of Battlefront 2. EA's Battlefront 2. That was one of the huge ones. And then they also did a panel on Star Wars Rebels where they announced that Season 4 will be the final season. And
it's going to take on more of a Rogue One aesthetic from here on out, I guess.
Freddie Prinze Jr. still sat in on that one, too, so that's always fun. But, yeah, those two were completely gone by the time I got there around 9 o'clock. And another one that was gone that I really wanted to get into was Anthony Daniels' panel on C3. Panel. I keep doing that. Jeez Louise. The C3PO panel with Anthony Daniels. Because when you think about it, I know he's kind of a jerk.
I hear he's sassy.
He has an ego. And I've seen that before. I've heard people who have
I've heard you have to stroke his ego to get to him.
But when you stop and think about it, he is the only person to be in every single Star Wars film. And that is just so cool. And
including Rogue One,
Yeah, he's been in every single one. He's the only character to do it. So it's also to be able to see that one because he has stories from every single movie. something that not everyone in Star Wars can say. So despite who he might be as a person, I wanted to see it for that. It was already gone. But I ended up getting to see him later. But I'll let you go back to your expo day.
Well, I was, wandering around, and then, Jill's doing her thing with Ashley, and she was going to get a photo because she made the cupcake that they presented to Anthony Daniels on stage. And so they let her, they were like, oh, do you want to take a picture with C-3PO? And so I went with her, and there was the C-3PO that is, whenever it's not Anthony Daniels, it's this C-3PO. So he came out and he talked and everything. It was just like, oh, you have wonderful fashion sense, blah, blah, blah. And all this stuff. And it was, that was cool. That was really cool to see, like, C-3PO and R2-D2 just come out of this room and, like, interact and talk and whatever. And then, I just kind of, I roamed around. There was a lot more cosplaying on this day than the other days. Overall, I thought there was less cosplaying than I expected, I guess. But also, Star Wars invites a lot of original cosplay ideas. So, like, a lot of people are their own character they've invented.
Yeah.
So it's not a ton of, like, oh, there's a Han Solo, there's a Luke Skywalker. It's a lot more like very specific type of a Jedi or a villain or something like that. I will say it seemed like, obviously, General Leia was the big one this year. And then I did see a really cute one where somebody cosplayed as Leia, and then her mother cosplayed as Singing in the Rain.
Yeah.
Dear God.
Debbie Reynolds.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. All I can think about is the image in my head, but a lot of hybrid, a lot of mesh.
Oh yeah, a lot of Disney, Star Wars.
Yeah.
Mix-ups. A lot of
I
Harry
saw
Potter,
you saw
Star
some
Wars
of the same
mix-ups.
ones as me though, because you posted the photo before I could post the photo of Jack and Oogie Boogie.
Yeah. My favorite one was the Muppets.
Oh
Star
yeah,
Wars
those
characters.
are cool.
And there was a lot. And because of the 501st Legion, you see a lot of stormtroopers.
A lot of Mandalorian, Boba Fett and Jango Fett are Mandalorians.
Yeah,
but a lot of that stuff.
You got a lot of droids roaming around, and some of these droids are amazing. The people who build them are just the most talented people in the world. I loved going through the droid room and seeing everything in there. I was very happy with the amount of cosplay. I felt like, I didn't. The one thing that I would hate to be in that, I will never cosplay. That's just not me. I will do it.
Are you gonna feel ridiculous when you're standing next to me when I'm in my costume?
I would hate to feel like I'm the only person not doing it.
You would hate to feel like you're the only person not cosplaying?
Yeah.
Well, welcome to what it's going to feel like when you go to MegaCon.
And that will probably happen, but that's just what I am. So I'm glad that there's a nice balance between the two.
My God. Wait, before I forget, I'm so sorry. Because I was just thinking, we should do Wayne and Garth and get our picture. What did I say? Who are we going to? Alice Cooper's going to be there. And I said we should be Wayne and Garth and do it like that. But there was a Garth Vader. Did you see Garth Vader? It was a guy that looked exactly like Dana Carvey, and he was in a Darth Vader costume except for his hair that was Garth, and he was like Darth Vader. And
this guy knows how to party.
Yeah, that's what Jill knew. Jill, that's like her favorite movie or whatever. So she goes up and she just keeps saying the line, and they're just saying it to. He's like, if you were, he's called her Abraham Lincoln and all that stuff. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. No, but I thought the amount of cosplay was great, and it was I underestimated how fun it would be to just walk around the show floor and see these people interacting. And it wasn't just to see everyone, it was then to see like the joy that people were it's hilarious. The joy that people were getting. It's a balance, because the people who are cosplaying were just so excited that people were getting so happy about their costume.
It brings like people together, because then you like it creates this friendly atmosphere.
Yes.
So when you think it's very crowded, it takes that edge off of the crowd just a little bit, because it's kind of like people kind of know how hard other people work on it, and you might meet a new friend there that I know it sounds weird, but like it's nice to know there are others like you.
And I'll take it a step further in this. It's the same way I feel about D23 as I did with this. Something like MegaCon, Comic-Con, I know there's a lot of different properties being handled, so the cosplaying is across the board with many different things. Whereas with this, I love the idea of this. I love the idea of D23 because regardless of what everyone has like a passion for, the reason we are here is for Star Wars. The reason you go to D23 is because you are absolutely obsessed with Disney. So I like the idea of conventions where there is a common, like that one commonality.
I went to the Power Ranger convention. You're preaching to the choir right here. So I like MegaCon to have one that has my variety, so you can be whatever you want. But I do like the one where everybody in that room has that same passion as you towards that same thing.
Exactly. And speaking of my passions mixing, on Saturday night I did get into the Star Wars Disney Parks panel combination that touted itself as being a history through Star Wars land. And so I was very happy, even though I didn't get to see Anthony Daniels in his solo presentation. He came out for the first part for about 20 minutes to talk about Star Tours. Because him and then Imagineering Tom Fitzgerald. And so they talked about the full experience of working on Star Tours. Anthony Daniels he discussed how when he was doing the movement and stuff for the programming for his animatronic in the queue, and how that was all working, and just all these little tidbits talking about how the goose droids that are still in there, that they have the computer in front of them and they monitor people that go by. Oh yeah, okay. That those out in Disneyland, when they did that, Tony Baxter and I can't remember the other Imagineer, they needed a droid for that, so they went over to America Sings. They stole two of the gooses. The goose, geese.
Is that why they call him a goose droid? That's why I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, so they went and they stole two of the geese from America Sings, stripped all the fur and stuff off of them, and they put them in there as goose droids. And the big part of this though is where we found out that when Episode 8 comes out, the new update to Star Tours will be it'll be, I believe it's pronounced Krayt, and that is the mining planet.
I read it as Crate, so I don't know. Yeah, it's spelled. It looked like it was spelled that way, but they said it out loud to you.
Yeah,
so
it is Crate. Sorry,
I got excited. I thought it was a crepe planet.
It's Crate, and it is
their main export being boxes.
And for those of you who don't know anything about this, if you watch the Last Jedi trailer, this is the planet when you see the one ship fall down, and then they're all dragging that like red sand and dust behind them. And you can see like AT-AT walkers in the background, way in the distance, or whatever they're going to be. I'm assuming they're going to be AT-AT walkers, but that's the planet you're going to go to in the next update to Star Tours. So get very excited about that. And then, we found out about Star Wars Land. A couple of new concept images were shown, some new behind the scenes footage talking about it, showing the current update progress to it in Disneyland. And I think the big takeaway from this is it is going to be way more immersive than I think anyone really imagined, to the point that it is going to essentially be a live action role playing experience being in there. Every decision you will make will have an effect. So they were talking about the Millennium Falcon ride, in that, if you do something during the attraction based on it, you never know if like a bounty hunter is going to then come after you after you're done with that ride, way down the line. There's going to be an attraction that is First Order and the Resistance, and you have to pick an allegiance on which side you're following.
Okay, I know this is unrelated, but I'm imagining this whole thing in my head, and you started the Millennium Falcon based on a choice you made, and now I have the overwhelming fear that between this movie and the next movie, the Millennium Falcon's going to bite the dust at some point. And I'm just imagining seeing it blowing up on screen, and I just can't handle it right now.
It's very sad, but
anyway, sorry.
Yeah, but the planet, it's been around for thousands of years, and way back when.
It's like in the Outer Rim, right?
Yeah, it's off in the Outer Rim. It's something that, while it's always been in the Star Wars universe, it is something that we are just now discovering for the first time, and the people who make it up are going to be a lot of smugglers, seedy type people. They described it as people who were looking for a place to hide away.
I was going to say, just like Disney Springs, but I meant in the fact that it was like Disney Springs has the history that it's been there since like the 40s or 50s or whatever. And you're like, nah. But
and the one last thing I took away from that is apparently they are working on a new prototype of lightsaber that you will be able to use in the parks. And
like an interactive lightsaber?
Yes, as in the guy who hosted the panel, I can't remember his name, he got to look at them, and he literally said, it was as close as you could get to a real lightsaber.
Nah.
I don't know. That's what they said.
It's going to have some... It's not going to be like chopping arms off of guests and stuff. And it's not going to be a laser sword.
It's obviously it's not going to do that, but they apparently have developed some technology.
You think there's like a button you could press and a thing will actually come out of the handle? Maybe?
I don't know.
Shoot out of the handle.
They would not talk any more about it. We can mention it, but that's all they can do. So it is still so tight-lipped. And of course, they made sure to let us know that we could find more information at the 2017 D23 Expo in Anaheim.
Oh my God! Can you imagine if we're in the audience and we get a lightsaber?
I don't think they'll be giving those out.
I don't think so either. But
yeah,
what did they give us last time? We got 2 posters.
Yes, we got.
Maybe we'll get a lightsaber.
We got a Jungle Book poster and the Force Awakens Drew Struzan poster.
Yeah, and then awesome. I also got in the video game one, I got the Mickey from whatever that thing is that's already gone.
Yeah, I would rather have a copy of Battlefront 2 coming to PlayStation.
November 17th?
November 17th, I believe, or 16th.
Whatever, somewhere around there. You get it a couple days early if you pre-order like the Elite package or something like that.
I will be pre-ordering everything that you can from it, and
it's got the single-player campaign.
And apparently, they're also getting rid of the downloadable content.
I saw that. No season pass this time. Yeah.
So that way, everyone can join. I had the season pass, so I was always at the highest level, which I enjoyed. But why don't we just move on to Sunday instead?
Well, I didn't get to go Sunday, so that was your adventure for you. It's Easter, and so I had people over. I had a lot of cleaning to do.
Yeah. Well, my wife worked, so I pushed through, and I went on the final day. I woke up at like 3:30 a.m.
Jeez, I can't believe you went so early.
Well, I woke up then, and I left my house so I could get there right at 5 a.m. That's when they were supposed to open the doors. They didn't. On time. It was about a half an hour late, but I wanted to see Mark Hamill again. So he was doing his panel Hamill himself that day. So I had to go for that. So I rushed there, and I ended up going away with two different panels. I did Hamill himself, and then I also did the closing ceremony. And the other big one that they were kind of doing that day was it was on droids. So I'm sure Anthony Daniels popped up in that one more time. And yeah, I kind of roamed around the expo floor a little bit more. And I just saw all the little things that I didn't get to see that I wanted to make sure that I hit. And also the big part of that was I was on the fence because on Saturday they still had photo op sessions open with Alan Tudyk. It's like you've heard me. I don't want to be too much of a hypocrite, but I keep saying like I don't want to pay the opportunity to meet someone. I would rather it just be able to happen naturally. But I think I'm starting to shift on that, especially when it comes into the idea of like you with Dick Van Dyke. Of there are some celebrities that we are really running out of time with, and maybe I would be okay with it. That's why we're talking to MegaCon. If we can meet Tim Curry, we're meeting
Tim Curry. Yeah. I checked. It says there's going to be a photo op and whatever. So I'm getting that photo.
Yeah, no.
There's some people that are going to go down that are just going to be the legends that they are. And Tim Curry, character actor, and just yeah.
Yeah, no, and I will be there too with Kylie. She will have a photo with him, and so yeah, I was on the fence about that because I didn't know he was going to be there.
Because my Dick Van Dyke experience is how I measure. I refuse to pay more than I ever pay. Dick Van Dyke was $100 to meet him, and I was fine with that. Was my mom was like, I'll get a Christmas present, whatever. Because my mom was like, if you better not leave there without that photo. Yeah. So it's one of those where like when somebody else comes and they're like, it's 100. Like when Sarah Michelle Gellar's charged 150, I'm like, I love you, Buffy, but.
Yeah,
You're not Dick Van Dyke.
Alan Tudyk was 75, which
Okay,
that
would have been, yeah,
but
see, he's in right now. He's the Disney, like he's in the.
He will
I don't
be
know
a
how to
Disney
describe it.
legend.
Yeah,
he absolutely will. Between his work now is K2SO, he was Hey Hey and Moana.
every voice in the last like 6 Disney movies.
Yeah, no, he's been in them all. He was in Big Hero 6. He was in
He's in Zootopia, yeah.
He was
Frozen.
Frozen, yes, he's been in everything. And then throw on top of that the fact that he was in Firefly.
I mean, it's Walsh. You can't like.
Yeah, it's. But I didn't do it.
I float like a. I forget what he says. I'm sorry. It's been a while.
I wish I would have done it, but I didn't. So, but I was like on the fence with that. I just wish I would have looked at the photo.
Him and Nathan
ops.
Fillion ever come around together and they do group photo, I'm paying for that photo.
And we said prepare ahead of time for anything, any convention, especially Star Wars Celebration. I would have paid to have my photo taken with Felicity Jones and Forrest Whitaker, with them as a duo,
two together.
Because that's how they did a photo op. I would have loved.
There was
to
a
have
solo
that.
Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah, but not as good with Felicity Jones. She's the eye candy in that mix.
Rude.
Sorry. I guess for you, it would be Forrest Whitaker would be the eye candy.
Well, I thought you were making fun of his eye.
Oh,
So that's why I said rude, but I get you there. But.
No, but yeah. So, anyways, I was kind of just doing that, and then I went into Hamill himself, and we have basically I put up a highlights video of it over at youtube.com/wdwinfo for anyone who wants to watch. I know a lot of the big stuff that he talked about did pertain to Star Wars, and he kind of shared some inside secrets, stuff that he remembers from the filming that really left an impact on him, and used that to weave a narrative where he talked about some of the other things he's done just in TV and voice acting, and tried to bring it all together and just share his experience. And I swear, I literally could listen to Mark Hamill talk for days on end. He's an amazing person. And we heard from another friend listener, which now I feel terrible because this was like the morning after we were up for most of the night with the Last Jedi panel. And so I don't remember her name.
Did I meet this person?
Yeah, you did. I think you did. Yeah,
girl?
Yes, remember she talked to us about Rancho Obi-Wan?
Oh, and she's been to like every, like this was like her, I don't
It was
even
her
know.
fifth.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Okay, you're gonna have to just like tweet at us or something when
Yeah,
you watch
I'm
this
so
because
sorry.
I
Yeah.
apologize.
She was super, super nice, and she let us know about Rancho Obi-Wan. Yeah.
We were just so tired. But I forget where. She was telling us that meeting Mark Hamill, he was probably like the most genuine, the most friendly, the most to go out of your way, and I can see that from just being in this panel, hearing him talk. And then I attended the closing ceremony, which we were hoping for some big announcements at the end, maybe where the next celebration will be, maybe those unedited original trilogy Blu-ray releases, something like that. No, it was just, we've had a good time. Here are the things that happened. Get out. And but yeah, I just to wrap up my thoughts on this, it was a long weekend. It was tiring. I know that a lot of other conventions can be even more tiring, but I actually ended up walking away. The first day I was kind of I was on the fence about how much I was going to get into it, but it's about realizing you can't do everything. So you need to set your priorities on what you want to do.
Yeah.
And then just take it in and realize that everyone there is a fan of the same thing, and you will walk away having just a dazzling time. It was 4 days that I will never forget, and I am so glad that I got to be a part of it.
Yeah, I think really the thing is you have to ask yourself, what are you hoping to get from it?
Yeah.
And I think that will be the definite of like whether you think it's worth it or not. Because I think that the best way to do things like these, especially when you're going multiple people, I mean, if you're not from like 20 minutes away like we are, get a hotel room, get some friends involved, and go and just make a weekend out of it. You know what I mean? Like the camping out in line, it sounds ridiculous. This is the first time I've ever done it. But now like we've got this whole like mode that we made some mistakes that we now know how to correct. So like when we go to D23, I'm kind of all about being like, yeah, it'll be fun. Let's go there. Although the only thing is like, because we're like, it'll be harder to go away and take a nap in the middle of the day. Yeah. But you know, like it's like an adventure. Now you want to be like a pro at it. You know what I mean? Like, and so I think when you take friends and you go and I think you have to say to yourself, how am I going to pace myself? Let me take the highlighter out. Let me highlight the things I definitely want to do. Those are my priority. These are my secondaries. Here are my tertiary. Like, you know, create the different tiers of what you want to see. And just kind of go have some fun. You know what I mean? Like, I think you can have fun if you go alone too, because I think you're going to make friends here. But for me, that's, I don't know. It's a nice bonding experience, I think.
Yeah, no, I would say it's good solo because no one can slow you down except yourself, and it's good with friends too because
friends that understand that that it's okay not to be together the whole time.
Exactly. So I'm so glad we got the chance to do it. I cannot wait until Star Wars Celebration comes back to Orlando again. Yeah, I will be there.
It's a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to MegaCon, and you can look forward to our coverage of MegaCon too, I believe.
Yes.
We're gonna go as both covering that and for some fun, but hopefully we can get into a couple of panels when that schedule is released.
Yeah.
But if you went to Star Wars weekends over this last weekend, I'd be curious to hear Star Celebration.
No one's been to Star Wars weekends now in a couple of years.
Well, whatever that galactic party was, if anybody, I'm curious about feedback on that too. Yeah. But yeah, if you made it out to Celebration in Orlando, I'm curious, like, your feedback, what you were thinking about. Did you enjoy yourself? Did you think it was worth the money? Were you disappointed? You know, let us know in the comments on this video. If you're listening, tweet at us at DISPopShow. And yeah, I think that'll do it. But thank you for being here with me and convincing me to go sleep out in that line.
You're welcome.
Because I never would have met the director otherwise, so I appreciate that. Well, that'll do it. And I will say, may the Force be with you for this episode of DISPop.